Hello, everyone. Happy late Valentine's Day. Vic here with a video. Now, listen, Valentine's Day is a magical time for some people. Hope some of y'all got flowers, candy, all the good Valentine's Day things that supposedly the Hallmark movies say happen on Valentine's Day. But for some of us, it was more about watching Valentine's Day themed horror movies. And earlier today, I got together with my pal Nick Arcana to watch My Bloody Valentine from 1981. So I'm going to cut to some commentary about that. I'm also going to give my thoughts there. And then I'm going to be watching also the remake to My Bloody Valentine and kind of comparing, contrasting both movies and kind of going over which one I think is the better movie. So first, though, let's get the thoughts on the original My Bloody Valentine.
One. But I will say, at least with the Prowler, someone watched this movie and thought, you know what, I can make this better. Because with the Prowler, they were able to get Tom Savini, have some great kills, and even though that one was also slow, it still made up for it with good, intense scenes. This movie feels like
There's no chase scenes here, or nothing so far.
yeah, so far there's nothing of substance with this movie. There's I don't care for the characters except for one. I don't care for the situation they're in, and in all honesty, I just don't really care much for this movie.
Well, damn. But it still has half left of when you're.
That's fair, but also I will say that the movie is, and this is still by a very small amount, a little more entertaining than I remember. I remember being bored as hell and probably not even paying attention to the movie when I first watched it. So we will see what the later half goes. Hopefully we get something in the form of just a little bit of action, a little more kills. Give me that slasher vibe. Right now I get more of a thriller that's not good vibes.
I don't have many positive things to say about that movie. I would say trash for the most part. Weak kills, weak characters, weird music. This is probably bottom of the barrel from the early 80s slashers. It's not as good as The Prowler, not as good as Prom Night. The Burning was better. I cannot recommend My Bloody Valentine. Ultimate Cardinal Sin was a boring movie. So I'm going to hand it over to Nick, get his thoughts here as well. So,
Probably help. So I don't have any real thoughts outside of what Vic said. Boring movie. Nothing really happens. We don't care about any of the characters. There's no intent. There's no intensity to these scenes. There's no suspense. And hell, that climax. What was that exactly? It was like they were trying not to hurt each other by very lightly swinging. If you're gonna do something like that, at least make it like a chase scene, and then our killer just randomly gets involved in an accident like that. Come on now.
made no sense.
There are better ways to do this kind of ending, better ways of doing this kind of movie. It is. If we did a ranking on 1980s again, this would be dead last on what we reviewed. I don't suggest anyone watch it, though I'm sure a lot of you probably have at this point because it was the 81 version. And that's all I got to say about that. Just weak.
Agreed. You just heard some thoughts from us on the original My Bloody Valentine. Now we're going to be talking about the remake, which I'm not a huge fan of remakes. A lot of times they are absolutely terrible. Most times they're terrible, with few exceptions. There's some that are actually pretty solid, some that are really good, but I'd say about 70% of them usually are disappointing.
So
But
I will.
maybe not this one.
I am going to cut you off and say video over because this is one of those 70.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I okay. If we both agree that it's better than the original, doesn't that already make it like a successful remake then?
It depends
I
on
mean,
exactly what your criteria is, because
in itself, maybe it's not a good movie, but It's definitely more entertaining than the original, we have to say, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, definitely more entertaining, but as you like to bring up when we were watching the movie and you kept slandering Jensen Ackles' name.
Oh, yeah. True.
uh, and I agree with the fact that the characters in this movie just suck.
Yeah, I agree with
I
that.
did not find one character I liked, and that's including Tom Atkins. I did not care for his character at all.
Yeah, maybe the
But
original did it maybe in hindsight, maybe the original had better characters, but just was a slog to get through. It just wasn't enough there wasn't enough activity going on, there wasn't enough killings going on, there wasn't enough excitement in the first one, but maybe they did have better characters at least, we'll say.
I would definitely say better characters because remember we're supposed to be looking at these characters as adults.
Mhm.
Like I'm guessing in the original they're probably in their 30s, and
Yeah.
you can tell they're in their 30s because you know, we have the same kind of love triangle thing going on in the original as we did here, and that one felt more mature.
I just think that, yeah, it kinda when you have Jensen Ackles, even though Supernatural, I wouldn't say it's like a teeny bopper show, just having him and then Kerr Smith actually was on Dawson's Creek. So you have kinda like a WB, CW kinda teen feel already, and then, yeah, this love triangle is like, who would come back into town to try to steal someone's wife? Like, that's such like a that doesn't happen in real life. That's such a ridiculous story. I mean, I know
So
actually, obviously, Jensen Ackles is there for other reasons too, but the idea that there's a love triangle when one couple's actually married, like, what? Like, what? That's a silly love triangle. They should have kept them all broken up then or something. So,
yeah, like I said, this with this one's the whole love triangle. It always, whenever they confronted each other about it, it was always some kind of high school petty drama bullshit, and I'm just like, guys, really, y'all are supposed to be like 28 at the youngest.
yeah.
What are y'all doing?
They had to pad out the runtime with something, I guess.
They can do that without making them seem like immature. One of them is the damn sheriff. He should not be acting the way he acted.
Well, I mean, he was doing an investigation, but I mean, again, the creepy ex-boyfriend comes back into town, and he's, like, talking to your wife, and you know they have a past. Of course, he's gonna be, like, on guard. Now, of course, they made the sheriff a shitty character by him already he's already cheating on his wife when the movie starts, so so it's like,
No,
uh,
I'm guessing this movie was supposed to give us like kind of a character arc for him because at the end of the movie we are supposed to root for him to win when you find out the whole twist of this movie. And I'm just thinking, can the mind just blow up and all three of them go bye bye?
yeah, there was no real sympathetic characters. Do you think it was just pure coincidence or something planned that both your Supernatural actors did horror remakes in 2009? Like, this dude did this movie, and the other one did the Friday 13th remake. That's like a hell of a coincidence that they both happen to star in a horror remake in the same year. They're
So
both starring on a TV show. Like,
so I'm not surprised. I would not be surprised if it was planned that way because at the end of the day, because in 2009 that would have been wrapping up season 4 of Supernatural, going into season
um,
5. So your main actors going into horror movies, especially horror remakes, does
mhm.
make some sense to try and promote what was supposed to be the final season of the show.
I need to look up if this movie was Platinum Dunes. So I don't know if the same people made this movie that made the
It
Friday
wasn't.
13th remake. Okay,
I
because that
didn't
would have
see
made
a
more sense
platinum
to me if,
doing
like, if it was the same company, it would have made even more sense. And been like, they're
thing.
consciously like the owners of the company are huge Supernatural fans. Like, yeah, we'll make a couple remakes this year and we'll just cast the Supernatural actors. That would
Well,
make
you
even
know
more
what
sense.
was a conscious decision in the
Mm,
editing was after our opening scene with this movie, we literally get the supernatural transition. Me and Josh were both expecting just a boom supernatural uh, title card popping up,
mm,
and all of a sudden, because it goes to that, you know, weird kind of loud, 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 and then boom, black.
mhm.
They do that in almost every episode of Supernatural.
Damn.
So it, we
Huh.
were so that was a conscious decision, and that was probably because they did get Jensen Ackles to be in this movie.
So there's an IMDb says there's an episode of Supernatural called My Bloody Valentine. I don't know if that episode came before the movie or after the movie or just all pure coincidence, but there's some Valentine episode of Supernatural that has that title. So
That doesn't surprise me. I can't remember per se. I do remember a Christmas episode where they were going up against some kind of pagan deity
hmm.
whose whole shtick was to kill them and turn them into candy.
Hmm. Well, okay. I'll be skipping that episode, I think. All right. So what do we like? What do we not like? Okay, we talked about the acting a little bit. I mean, look, I'm okay with Jensen's facial expressions for the most part. It's just his line delivery. His voice just like I don't know, it doesn't he has a very like it doesn't carry any weight to his voice. It feels like your main dude should have like a more powerful voice. And that's a weird criticism. But he's like soft spoken, but and then just like very wooden, no emotion in his voice when he speaks. So I
I,
don't know.
I,
It's
I
just
think
that
I think I know why. They did not want to give away the whole twist ending, even though the minute you see Tom coming out of his truck, you get the music and automatically you're like, he's the killer.
yeah. I was hoping it wouldn't be Tom because it feels lazy actually. Just like it's like give me somebody else. I'd rather just be like freaking Harry's still alive. Like just give me that to me. I mean, but
See, I
yeah,
would have I would have agreed more with that, definitely, because I mean the whole movie feels like, and I know I jokingly said this about Friday the 13th, and that was meant to be a joke. This one really does feel like just an elongated episode of Supernatural, because a lot of similarities between the show and this. With one of our villain is possessed by some evil spirit. That happens a good
yeah.
amount in the show. Obviously, not Dean. No, he
Mm.
becomes a demon. Never mind. Um,
It does feel like a long TV episode, basically. I have to say, it really does. Um, you know, props to the Supernatural guys though. So this and Friday 13th, this actually also made 50 million. The Friday 13th one made 50 million also. So they both like finished around the same box office, 50 million. So I don't know if all the Supernatural fans came out in support or what,
oh, they did. You know
um,
they did.
but yeah, so this was actually a hit movie, believe it or not. So um, but I don't know. I think that maybe it's because it's in 3D when it came out, so it's like that was at that time a big gimmick. I think the same year the Final Destination 3D movie came out as well, which was terrible. You can see in some of the death scenes where they're going for a 3D effect, and without the 3D, it does seem kind of silly sometimes. So, like when
Honestly, every
the girl she throws something at the killer. What is
the
it like?
gun. She the
Yeah,
girl threw the gun at the truck driver who videotaped her, who apparently still had the video camera on still, even though we clearly see him turn it off earlier. Heck, I don't even think the camera was actually even in his hand when he gets killed.
it kind of felt weird seeing that actress as a teenager at the beginning. And now we skip ahead to the future and seeing her in this scene. It just felt kinda off. Now,
You know what else felt off?
supposedly yeah.
I mean, personally, I like scenes that show this kind of thing when it's done tastefully. This
Mhm.
felt like just an exploitive, nasty. I mean, did we really need the whole scene with her being like this? If she was dressed after having sex with this guy, I probably would not have an issue with her being naked this whole damn scene
Yeah.
because she wouldn't have been. But
So,
the fact she was naked the whole scene feels wrong.
apparently it was her idea, so so she, like, originally as it's written, she's supposed to grab the sheet from the bed, and then she comes out with a sheet on, but apparently, like, because she was missing her cues, so she was like, "Screw it, I'm doing without the sheet," and they were just like, Okay." So, she was like, she wanted to do it, like, that way. But I agree, for this kind of movie, like, because 'cause let's be honest, this is a movie where there's probably, like, a lot of teenagers going to see in theaters. This does feel, like, over the top, like, for this kind of movie. But I don't know. I guess like especially this feels more like an 80s. Maybe it's a nod to the 80s because the 80s did have a lot of shameless nudity, but um I don't know.
For some
But it
reason,
was
in
just
the '80s, though, still felt more respectful of the actress than this.
yeah,
And that's a weird thing to say considering some of the movies we have watched.
true. I again, like if you read on the IMDb, like she goes into a whole thing about how she doesn't regret it and she wanted to do it that way. So they were just like, okay, I guess.
Hope she
But
got some extra money out of it.
the funny thing is the whole that whole sex scene, so that the guy in that scene is the writer of the movie, Todd
Of
Farmer.
course it is.
So, yeah,
Of
this
course
man
it
wrote
is.
himself into that scene for sure, so, also famously the writer of Jason X, let me throw that out there as well, so,
No,
um
I can already tell how that conversation went. He rates the scene. They could not get just an extra to play the scene. He's like, "Oh, I'll do it."
he's like, "I always do cameos in my movies, so what about that scene?" So,
You know what?
um
He deserves something worse than just a pickaxe to the head. Okay.
yeah, I agree. Well, okay, so the death scenes overall, it's kinda that 2009-ish thing where you're getting all the fake gore. Like every death scene has like the fake blood, like the CGI blood effect,
Yeah,
which
the CGI blood was annoying, but when it came to the practical effects, those look pretty damn good.
yeah,
So,
when we got them, I guess,
so
yeah.
I do got a question. What did Harry Warden use in that hospital scene? He didn't have a pickaxe. Did he just like have a scalpel and just took his time with everybody? Is he just that strong? He was able to rip them in half, like was it like a Juggernaut from Deadpool?
Well, I mean, a scalpel could go a long way if you take your time, I guess, but
Exactly, but did he have the time to be able to do that to what looked like 5, 6 people?
probably not.
Well, then
They
again,
weren't
Tom Atkins is an older man, so he
yeah,
probably did.
they weren't putting any level of detail into any thought, extra thought into that whole thing. I feel like this movie was just written just pretty generically, I would say. Um Yeah, so the characters, death scenes, Trying to think of was there any death scene that actually stood out though? Um,
For me, it was the dwarf woman.
oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, sure, you can say, "Oh, that wasn't gory or anything," but it was still kind of fun just watching her feet just leave the air and slam into the damn ceiling.
I did like the one guy whose, like, face got pushed into the thing.
Mhm.
Um, that was kind of a cool effect. The older guy. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that you do think as a mystery that you feel like it was easy to figure out that Jensen Ackles was the killer pretty early on?
Yeah. I mean, literally, before we even start getting our kills, he shows up. We got this mysterious, badass music playing. I'm guessing it was supposed to be badass music. It just made me think, oh, he's the killer. And
I mean,
then
the most obvious thing in hindsight is that he shows up to the hotel and then that they get killed a minute later at the hotel. Like, it's kinda
also,
like
apparently, the fact, because I was even asking myself, because I assumed that this movie, and because I watched this movie a long time ago when it
mhm,
first came out, didn't watch it since, so I couldn't remember the whole possession angle that this movie apparently tried to play.
mhm,
But as I'm watching, I'm thinking, okay, so obviously he's the killer. He's coming back to get revenge on the mainly the 3 people that left him to face Harry Warden alone.
mhm.
And so my first thought was, how did he know that was Irene in there? He didn't exactly look. He just listened. Does it,
Mm,
did he sleep with Irene and knows what she moans like? I mean,
mm. Well, he did though, I guess when they looked at the video footage, it did seem like he was looking inside though, so
yeah, but the way he would have looked, there was no way he could have told that was her, at least in that direction. He would have seen like a blonde hair. He wouldn't have been able to clearly see her face.
yeah, you're right. That was set up like a random kill, but it was actually a targeted kill since he was trying to actually kill her for story purposes, but the way it's set up is just that more like he gets to the hotel, he's annoyed by them, and then he's like, let me just get a warm up here with this couple. But you're right. It's supposed to be. You would think more that he was following Irene to the hotel. I don't know. Like that's kind of off. You're
I
right.
mean, I know if anyone pays attention to the movie and you talked about it, they love this movie. They would have mentioned, oh, but he would have seen Irene's name in the ledger. Yet you
Oh,
also find out that apparently these characters in this motel, the motel is so shady that most people use fake names. Also, how many? I don't know about you, but I know at least 3 Irenes. So it's possible it would have been a different
yeah,
Irene.
yeah. That is kind of sketchy. You're right. I don't know. I mean, you're right. And then, well, I guess he had to at that point. I mean, he's targeting certain people, but he also kills a lot of people just in general, though. Seems like a
Yeah,
lot of
actually, I
people.
gotta. So even funnier. So thinking about now, go further down the line to get to the grocery store attack scene where he's
Mhm,
targeting Sarah. You can say, "Oh, he's not targeting Sarah. He loves Sarah." No, he's targeting. His ultimate plan was to eventually kill all 3 of them,
mhm.
and that's why me personally, I don't think the whole possession angle works for this movie because you can tell throughout the movie he has a list, he has targets,
Mhm.
and yet they throw in the possession angle of, see, this is why Tom's evil. It's like, no, you can easily say he wanted revenge because he almost died because these characters ran from him. To be fair,
Do
they
you do
all
you
would have
think
died if they tried to stay, but
do you feel like it was actually though were they going with the actual idea of, like, actual supernatural possession or just the idea that he's mentally crazy and he's, like, a schizo where he's, like, turning his personality turns into Harry at some points? I don't know, it seemed like just like he's literally mentally insane,
I
more so
mean,
than actual possession,
they
so
did throw that bit in, and that's easy to explain that as that, but it's just the whole ending bit with him seeing Harry just walk up to him and then disappear,
oh,
and then
that's
all of
just
a sudden
mental
he's Harry again.
that's mental insanity, so
That's
that I
fair.
didn't you were thinking of the show Supernatural, and that's why you're like, "Oh, yeah, there must be something supernatural here." There's
To be
nothing,
fair, it is still
supernatural.
supernatural because he teleports.
What? Does he? Well,
Yeah,
okay, that's
and actually, the grocery store scene kind of proves it. You're because when they're getting out of the office room, they shove Megan out the window. All of
yeah.
a sudden, he's gone. When she's halfway out the window, he was still at the door. And then all of a sudden, Sarah's like, "Hey, wait, stop! No, something's not right." It's like he just stopped 5 seconds ago, and now all of a sudden he's pulling Megan out of the damn window.
He he did some fast running, man. He ran all the way around. The weird about that scene too is when he grabs her, like, out the window and, like, suddenly, like, complete silence. Like, you
Like,
wouldn't hear her scream or you don't hear her scream or anything, like, what the hell? Like, how do you, had a muffled her, like, that quick? Like, there was, like, notes, like, nothing?
they
Um,
just did it for a jump scare.
I think we have to allow the idea that these movies always have teleportation, so it's just built in that teleportation is
As long
kind of
as they're
like
in the mask.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
Um,
and then the whole thing with that scene was Sarah tells Axel, "Oh no, he targeted Megan because of her connection to you." And I'm thinking, or he was targeting you, and Megan was just there. I mean, did
mm,
no one ever think of that part? I mean, I guess because
well,
they,
you have to think why would Tom so Tom would have to know about that whole affair thing. Um,
which we did see him go to the cabin, so he would have known.
so he knew about that, so then would he really blame her though? I think that would just fuel his anger towards him more, not her.
Yeah, it would have fueled his anger towards him, but at the same time, I still feel like his mental insanity version of himself or version of Harry is targeting Sarah still to kill, and it's obvious
Well,
Tom himself is not strong enough to keep his mental capacity in check.
in the grocery store, clearly he tries to kill her. I mean, he's swinging at her, so it's
Yeah,
yeah,
but
he's trying to kill her, so
still, in my opinion, I don't think he would. I don't think he was targeting Megan because at the end of the day, he probably didn't even think Megan. He could have just assumed Sarah was going to be alone.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like Megan was just wrong place, wrong time at this point. If she was not in that store at that time, she would have been alive. She would have delivered Axel's baby.
Yeah, I don't think we would have seen her in the movie anymore. Like, it would have been just yeah, so, um,
But the
yeah.
minute we heard she was pregnant, she was a goner.
Yeah. This movie is kinda dark, actually.
Oh, well, I mean, you say that, but Friday the 13th Part 3 did the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
There's a pregnant character there. She died.
But Jason did not know that that girl was pregnant in part 3, so
Yeah, that's fair. Tom would have known it because I believe the note didn't say she was pregnant. Her telling Axel is how he knew.
uh,
So
uh,
to be fair, nobody except Axel and Megan knew she was pregnant.
hmm. Why in horror movies this happened in, some other movies too, but when you see, like, the bloody dryer going or the bloody washer going, why are you surprised? How are they surprised then when they open the dryer door and the body falls out? It's like, you can see the blood and guts from where you're standing in the dryer, like, you like, the audience we see, like, the bloody thing, and then the cop opens it. He's like, "Ah!" It's like, "Wha what were you
I will
expecting
say
when you
for
opened the bloody dryer?"
I
Like,
will say for a small town, I'm actually kind of impressed that these cops weren't losing their lunch because this has to be at least for this new crew probably the first time they've seen actual murders, at least this gruesome. You're telling
that's
me
fine.
not one of them, all of them had strong stomachs?
That's fine, but if you see the bloody dryer, there's two options. Don't open the door. Just be like, "Oh, I know what that is. I'm not opening it." Or if you do open it, don't then be like, "Ah, it's a body!" It's like, idiot. You see the blood and guts on the dryer door. Either don't open, be like, "Oh, I'm going for backup," or because that's how the damn killer kills the cop. It's like because they do the
But the cop
cliched
survived.
that reaction to me works with like a teenage girl, like being like, "Ah!" A teenage girl, fine, but a cop with a gun in her hand opens a bloody dryer and says, "Ah!" and then gets killed. That's such a stupid reaction for a cop character. I don't care if it's small town or not. I'm sorry.
The cop that found that body did not die. It was Burke that died.
Oh, I guess you're right, but she did scream in a distracting way, which I think threw the whole thing off. So all I'm
Well,
saying is
what's
that
weird is Burke for Burke's death. This part's weird for me. Burke's death. He's just sitting there, staring off at the helmet,
yeah,
and
what do you
apparently he's been
seen?
standing there for 10 minutes.
So yeah, how do you not see the killer approach him? Like that didn't make sense
Did
either.
he just like go into old man sleep mode and just sleep standing up until he heard the scream?
Well, the killer approach well, but this is also one of those like CGI deaths where like when he pulls a thing, you get all the fake CGI blood. I'm just like, I'm
Well,
so over
actually,
that.
I noticed something about this scene. So if you watch it, you don't even need to pay attention closely. When you watch it, our killer swings the pickaxe downwards.
Mm,
Yet when we see the actual pickaxe inside him, it's through
up.
his chin upwards. Yeah, and I'm thinking, who missed that?
If the killer was going for just pain, he probably could have left that in, but instead he just rips it out. Which again, just the over top CGI here. Um, man,
No, the only other thing is this
yeah,
whole ending.
there's not that much to talk about in this movie as I thought. Now that we're dissecting it.
No, there really isn't. But the last little tidbit about this movie is now we get our ending where now we're following Sarah because now there's supposed to be a whole thing between Tom and Axel, and one of them's the killer. And I guarantee you, this movie probably tricked a few people who've seen the original because
hmm
they're probably thinking, "Oh, Axel's the killer in the original, so he's the killer here."
Yep.
And I'm thinking that makes no damn sense. Yeah, we see him a decent amount when he's alone, but at the same time, he is constantly around somebody throughout the movie, even off screen.
Yeah, they didn't do a good job of like if they were like preparing the idea that Axel might be the killer. They didn't do a good job of that.
No, because
Because
at
like
no point do you feel like he's the killer. At the very least, in the original, we get absolutely no clues, so there's no damn way we can tell who's the killer or not.
I mean, he's always in that damn police uniform too. Like, at no point is he not in that damn police uniform. But Tom being the killer also feels kind of just like, eh, I don't know. I don't know
No,
who else could have been. I don't know who else could have been the killer, but
the dude that played in House. That's the
is
only
that
thing
one
I
of
know him from.
the old dudes?
No, the deputy.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
But again, it would make no sense because, like, why? And also, here's another thing. Unlike the original, if I remember correctly, I'm thinking of Hard Eyes at this point. But let's go with Hard Eyes for a quick second. With that one, three people showed up, and that's when the killing starts. So you have three potential possibilities.
Hmm.
With this one person shows up, and now people are starting to die. So it's kind of easy to pick who's the killer here.
Do you think the movie should have left open the idea that Harry could still be alive and out there?
Yes.
Like when you get to the ending, you're still like, maybe it's Harry.
Well, I
Maybe
know
just
the movie.
leave that thread open and don't close that thread. Maybe.
I feel like this movie tried to do that with, they go to the grave, it's gone, it's empty,
Oh
which,
come on! If the cops are saying they buried him, I'm not buying that. They buried him, left. He just got up and walked out the grave. I mean, I didn't
well,
buy that for
it
a
didn't
second.
look like they buried him deep enough.
Clearly, somebody
You
came in
want
late
at
at that
least
point.
6 feet, a little bit more actually. So if dogs come sniffing around, they're not going to find the body, especially if you like bury raw meat on top of the body.
I mean, I know they don't want to do it because the original didn't do it, but just have it be Harry at the end. It takes off the mask. It's old man Harry, and he's like, "Of course it's me. Who'd you think it was gonna be?" I mean, I would have respected that just going for that ending, honestly.
Yeah, but then we get this weird thing where, again, Tom is our killer who's supposed to be this strong guy, gets his ass handed to him.
Well, he wasn't as strong as we suspected, unfortunately.
Apparently not. I mean, he, that or Axel is just that damn good of a fighter. Also, why didn't Sarah shoot?
Well, I don't
When
know.
he's choking Axel, it's just a good thing Axel apparently has taken self defense classes. Otherwise, Axel would probably have died with that choking.
Sarah was pretty forgettable as a scream because she's not in danger of becoming a scream queen anytime soon. I feel like.
I mean,
Um,
then we also get our whole thing with the most epic climax to ever grace our screens of Tom just walking down a hallway breaking lights.
the lights were his enemy apparently. So.
I'm just wondering, was that supposed to be intense? Because don't forget, Sarah got a gun.
I again with the CGI and the 3D effect, them doing the whole like bullet time effect when she shoots the bullet in the gun. It's like that's so out of place in like in a horror movie. Like the follow the bullet slow motion thing. This is not the damn Matrix. Like I don't want to see that in a damn My Bloody Valentine movie. Like I know they're doing it for the 3D purpose, but that just that annoyed the hell out of me for some reason. I was like, don't give me this damn slow motion bullets here. So
Yeah, well, overall,
oh, also give me a conclusive ending. I don't need them
we
setting
got a
up a sequel.
conclusive ending. Tom is alive.
I don't need. Yeah, I don't need that. That is not. That is like a what? That's a pointless ending. It's like don't be setting
Well,
up no
Tom is alive to then go film the next season of Supernatural.
don't be setting up no sequel on this stupid movie. Come on, have his.
Well,
I want to see Tom get decapitated somehow. Right? Come on.
so at the very least, this movie gives us a kind of a little more a different reason on why the mind collapsed, but also a little bit more conclusive on how.
Hmm.
Because in this movie, we see an explosion. All we hear is "damn kids." They never actually explain it
Mm-hmm.
in the movie. So I did find something that explained what happened. So it is Tom's job to have bled out the methane. Here, I got it written down.
They call it bleeding lines or something in the movie. Actually, I
Yeah.
think.
So
Yeah.
obviously Tom caused the mine to collapse by not properly. He did not properly vent the methane gas lines, which
Mm.
led to the buildup of explosive gases, which triggered the explosion, causing the mine cave in. Now,
Okay.
my thing is, I understand the reason I find this stupid. Okay, is I understand that he's a hot-headed teenager at this point,
Mm-hmm.
fresh out of school, most likely 18 years old. And then you get this guy who's been there for at least 10, 15 years in the mine, so knows
Hmm.
how it works, knows how to operate, and asks him a pretty simple question in the most mine worker way possible. Did
Yeah.
you remember to bleed the fucking lines?
Right.
So, being a hot headed teen, yeah, he's going to buck back at someone, especially since technically, once his father passes, he's going to be owner of the mine.
And sell that bitch.
Yeah, yeah. So, but the problem I have is in a situation like that, at least to my experience, I don't care how someone comes up and talks to me. I will buck back, but at the same time, I'll be like, I'm going to go double check now because
Mm.
if someone's coming to tell me he's either trying to bust my chops or there's a chance that maybe he noticed something off about something else, like maybe he
Right.
was watching you work and noticed you didn't do it.
Right.
At the same
Yep.
time, I don't care that the guy's trying to bust my chops. I will buck back, but then I'm gonna go and double check.
Probably would have been a smart play. I agree. I mean, with things like that where not doing something properly can lead to like many deaths and a lot of like chaos, like you got to be super careful. You're
And
on
that's
top.
why I don't really believe that this would have happened this easily. I will say, yes, complacency is a thing in a lot of these kind of job areas, but at the same time, you also being the youngest one there, you want to make sure no one can blame you because you're also going to be the first one fired or the first one taking the fall for everything. So
True.
yes, you want to make sure everything's perfect. That's why I don't believe that he been being that pissed off that he would just forget to do his job properly.
I mean, you wonder basically, I mean, you wonder if the writer even like consulted anybody when writing this movie in terms of like somebody who works in mines and things like that, or is it just like what they know about they did a Google search about mines and then just like you have to wonder how much research actually went into that. Like I think that was just like put there as like a it's just the reason for him to be whatever, but I don't think there was probably a lot of research done into the whole mining topic, to be honest. I'd be surprised. Maybe there was, but I doubt it.
Yeah, well, either way, I just know I remember that the original Tom had left. I forgot what they said, why, because the movie was so damn boring I couldn't give a shit. But it wasn't for any particular reason because the mine apparently collapsed during a freak accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, this one it's just like I guess the person who wanted to make Tom the killer this time because they didn't want Axel being the killer. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, there's easier ways to do this. Like show us he had mental health issues before all this. Maybe he
It is
was fighting, maybe him and Sarah were having such issues that he was just so distraught and that's what made the mistake.
it's kind of a lame reveal to be like, oh, he's been in the asylum the last like 7 years, whatever like that. Like
And you're
that is
telling
kind
me
of a
his dad did not know where he was? No, his dad put him there.
somebody would have known about that. Yeah, that's a lame reveal. Or like he comes back to town all normal, and they're like, "Oh my god, the records show that he's been in the hospital last 7 years." Like somebody in the town would have known about that. I feel like, right? Small town, word travels fast. The father was living in the town.
Yep.
Yeah,
The
I
father
mean,
most likely put him in there. I guarantee you, the father told Ben
yeah,
when all of
because
that
he
started.
had.
Ben probably would have said something.
It's not like he had changed his name. It's the same Tom, same last name, everything. So it's not like 1955. Like somebody would have looked him up like way back before then. I feel like, and I don't know. That's kind of bad writing. Like you, if it's a brand new character, you can reveal that. But somebody who's from that town, whose family was in that town, I feel like that would have been revealed. So
Yeah, but here's another thing. This is supposed to be a kind of a whodunit type movie since we're supposed to automatically assume Harry Warden is dead. Uh, Besides, I know we mentioned a few things. One of the most glaring things that this was Tom as the killer was when in the when he gets trapped in that cage for Red's death.
mhm,
The minor killer acts exactly like him, mirrors his every movement.
mhm. Oh yeah, true.
Like, was that supposed to not be a thing? Was that supposed to be the killer's way of intimidating Tom?
Ah, Interesting. I guess maybe. Yeah,
Or
that
the
is kind
fact
of.
that here's the other one thing when Tom threatens Ben. Yeah, sure. Ben says, "Oh, well, if you don't find him, he'll find you." It's like, or you.
Yeah, that was a weird dialogue. Also, actually, so
No, the
why'd
script
even
is.
why'd even kill Ben? Like, I don't.
I don't know. Ben had nothing to do with anything when it comes to any of this. It just
Wasn't Ben, and also wasn't Ben like basically his friend? Like, ultimately,
his
like it
father's
felt like
friend, pretty much a family friend. He
they
still
were
worked in
work.
the mine.
It felt
He's
like they
the
were
reason
working
why the
together.
mine's still running, actually.
Yeah, I was like, I was kind of surprised he went out of his way to kill Ben. I'm like, he's at least
I
like
think it's.
you're one. You're if you're gonna be Tom in this town, he's your one supporter ish in this town. It seems so.
I feel like for this, it was to try and throw viewers because they're probably thinking, "Oh, we've thrown so many hints that Tom's a killer. Let's throw something that's going to take everyone out of it." There's no way Tom would kill Ben,
Yeah,
but
it
yet
just
you throw in
seemed
a dialogue that says Tom killed Ben.
it just seems pointless. It kind of reminds me of like in the original Scream where I was kind of like if I'm Stu, I'm like I'd be like negotiating Billy. I'm like, hey, can we like keep Tatum alive though? Because like if our plan is to live on, like that is my girlfriend. Like, like, like we're gonna be the innocent people. Like supposedly, like why can't I be alive and still have my girlfriend? So I would have been like, hey Billy, I'm cool with the plan, but let me chase Tatum, but we don't gotta kill her, right? Like I just felt like that was out of place. But anyways, look, it's a decent for me because it's better than the original. And again, the original one just to me was just kind of a slog, just boring. Maybe better characters, but just boring. It was better than the original, so I have to say it's a successful remake. It made decent money, but if you take the remake part of it and just judge it as a horror movie, it's kind of a fail. It's
kind
mediocre
of,
characters, not really scary.
kind
Uh,
of.
no, it is a fail. It is a fail. I think I mean I hate to say it, but I enjoy Valentine more than My Bloody Valentine. I think if you had to force me to rewatch one of them, I'd watch Valentine versus this, and how annoyed I was with Valentine. So
I will say this movie does give you kind of a stupid scene also when it comes to a kill because for Valentine, our main issue was that damn body bag kill.
yes,
For
yes,
this one, for me, it's the damn under the bed because it's like because after he reveals she's under the bed and she gets up and keeps the bed with her, it's like, do you not see how long that pickaxe is, lady?
I I struggled with the idea of how long it took him to stab her. To me, like one stab would have did it, but he's missing all over the place. I'm like, dude, this can't be that hard. Like like I don't understand why she didn't at least do a thing where she tried to push it onto him, I guess. The only thing you can
Yeah,
do at that
that
point is
would.
try to like push forward as quick as possible with it in front of you and try to surprise him. She's like laying back, just like like a sitting duck. It's like, what do you think's gonna happen, lady? Like, you better do some kind of movement there. Like,
Also, let's face it, if he really wanted to, Tom could
he
have
could he
grabbed the
could have
whole
grabbed it.
bed and just ripped it right off her. She didn't have a good handle on it.
Yeah, that was a very awkward. That whole scene was just awkward. Let's be honest. That's an awkward scene. That whole thing from the get
No,
go. That's an awkward 5 minutes of movie time. So.
this whole movie is just an awkward movie. It tries to be what it's not, and that is a 1 hour TV special. I feel like this movie would have been better if it was literally just a 1 hour TV special, not an hour and 40 minutes. I will agree. It's more
Yeah.
entertaining, faster paced, better kills. At the same time, the original itself had better characters. And I will
Mhm.
say the original also had a better story if you can stay awake long enough to pay attention to it.
Look, if the original had just thrown in some more excitement, a little bit, a few more kills, I think it'd be a good horror movie. But I can't. The original's so slow. I just can't imagine rewatching it. Like that's the problem. So there's no rewatchability because how slow it is.
And this movie
Uh,
is so bad, I can't imagine watching it either.
no, I don't think I'll be watching this either. So I would say the My Bloody Valentine in general not the best horror franchise. I don't think this is worth much here. So this is definitely the lower tier horror franchise, if you want to call it a horror franchise. So
So for me, I can see the appeal of this movie. I can see where it would make for a good movie, but it needs to be done right.
oh
Like if
god,
they had
don't hint at another remake of this. I don't
no,
want to see the same. I don't want to hear the names Axel, Tom, and Harry ever again in a horror movie. All right.
like if I will say if they had the kills and excitement of this, but the acting, the story, and the characters of the original would have been made for a better movie.
100%. I agree with that.
So there's something there. It's just both times the movie has failed in what it's trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I feel like maybe down the line they'll revisit the franchise. Maybe there'll be some direct sequel on Tubi, but I'm probably even next Valentine's Day. I'm not gonna really revisit this. I don't think I'll stick to Valentine, or I'll just watch a romantic comedy at this point. So,
I think I will just get Hard Eyes on Blu-ray when that comes out, and then watch that
oh
every day
yeah,
I want.
that's actually. Oh, I don't know though. Gotta see how much rewatchability that movie has too. So that is actually more romantic comedy. I think in hindsight, we have to like not put that in the horror genre. So, but
That's fair though. We get our slasher. It's more of a when the actual killer comes out. It's more of a thriller at that point.
yeah, yeah. Um, all right, folks. Anyways, I gotta go jump in the shower and get ready for work. So,
And I got
uh,
to go play more games.
yes. Well, quite the day for both of us then. Well, for everybody there in the comments, leave your thoughts on either My Bloody Valentine or the remake. Which one did you prefer? I think
If you
we're
preferred either of them, the correct
yeah.
answer is zero. You don't need to prefer either of them.
The it seems like I said again, these movies seem to be popular for whatever reason. I don't know why, but all right. But anyways, until next time. Well, do you have any closing thoughts, Nick, before we
Yeah,
wrap this up?
you don't have to go home. You do got to cry because Mountain Dew's losing 3 flavors, but it's also gaining 3 flavors. So enjoy your
What
holidays.
flavor? What flavors are we losing?
We're losing Spark, Major Melon, and one I've never actually tried because it's not even anywhere near us.
Oh, so we're not losing any of the vibe ones, or the code blue and the code red will still live on. Is
No,
what you're
if
saying?
Code Red ever goes, I will start a riot.
I mean that code blue and the OG, the original, those are the best ones. So,
Code Blue meaning voltage.
oh yeah, oh, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Why do I think it's called cold blue? All right. Anyways, either way,
because the second one to come out was Code Red.
it's too much caffeine. Anyways, I'm gonna stick with my tea. So,
I'll stick
uh,
with my diabetes water.
all right, there you go. All right, until next time, guys. You guys take care.
Peace.